Well, this project was fairly groundbreaking. What we did was we'd never actually released cheetahs back into the wild, that it had been in captivity for so long. So it had never really been done before. This was the first real attempt behind it. We managed to get so much information on how quickly they started to learn to hunt, how they managed to adapt to that environment. Whereas you have to remember that these cheetahs had been in captivity for nearly their entire life. So to be put out into the wild like that was very stressful for them in the beginning. But the information that we got was how quickly they adapted, how quickly they learned, and even though we've always said that it's very difficult for a cheetah to learn how to hunt after it's been orphaned from its mother, we learned that eventually instincts do kick in, but they need a little bit of a helping hand. They probably wouldn't have survived had we just opened the gate and left them out, but through all the information we got, we managed to determine exactly when we thought we could stop feeding them, and how well we think they would survive in the future down there once we decided to pull out and let the reserve itself just monitor their behavior. Everything will go towards the future and what we can do. We now know that it is possible to release them and they can be successful. So hopefully in the future we'll be able to find out as much as we can, and we'll be able to start getting more cats back out into the wild, which is the ultimate goal, of course. Well, as I said, each of the males have very distinct personalities. One that we found to be very successful from the beginning was Kia. Now, Kia was really an exceptional cheetah. It's very interesting because he's one of the smaller of all the cheetahs that were there, but he really picked up on the hunting very quickly, and he was taking down quite large game. He was managing to catch larger oryx, things like that, and really I think he was the one that was integral for their survival, as he managed to teach the other cheetahs a little bit, and they sort of learned from his mistakes and learned from his successes as well. Mm-hmm. His brother was also alongside him, Ra, and the two of them picked up how to hunt and how to succeed in the wild very quickly, and I think the other males just managed to catch on after a few weeks. So if it wasn't for Kia, they may not have made it as well as they have so far. What we found was that in the beginning they struggled to catch game. It wasn't that the game was too fast, it's just that they hadn't learned these skills from the mother, of course, so they didn't really know how to actually trap the game. Springbok, which we thought was going to be their main prey down there, actually proved to be not too quick, but much too agile for them. They just couldn't quite catch them. So they started using different techniques that might not be so common in the wild normally. But we found that the cheetahs were sort of almost hunting in a pack-like mentality. Not exactly like wild dogs or anything like that, but they were working together. They would sort of find a group of animals as opposed to an individual one, and they would run towards the group and sort of scatter the whole group, and this would expose the younger animals. I mean, a full-grown oryx or a full-grown hartebeest is a very large animal for a cheetah to catch. So by getting into the younger ones, they managed to separate the herd, and a few of the other males would help to expose the young ones, and then Kia, the one that was hunting, would manage to pick that one out and then run it down. And it was very interesting to see this because you don't normally get that kind of behavior. Normally they would just find an animal and try to run it down as fast as they could. But no, it was really interesting to learn that they were using this pack-like behavior to start hunting in the early days. We weren't sure in the beginning whether they were going to stay in a group of 5 because, like you said, it is quite big. The group consists of 2 sets of brothers. Kia and Ra are brothers, Cadbury and Lint are brothers, and then Mushar is kind of like the outsider. But because they've been together for so long in captivity, I think they really bonded, and they each sort of formed that group using their own personalities, and that was one of the reasons that they decided to stay together. And I think they definitely needed, especially in the beginning, to hunt the bigger game, because it was the only way that they could sustain the energy for all 5 males. So it was very productive that they were catching the larger game as opposed to the smaller things in the beginning. Now they can catch the smaller things because they're getting much better at it, and it doesn't matter so much. They're hunting more often, they hunt when they need to. But in the beginning it definitely was very important that they were catching this game, because then they all had enough energy to survive. Well, I've been working with the Cheetah Conservation Fund for nearly a year now. And of course, the first 6 months of that was down with the Namibia cheetahs in the south. And for me, that was a life-changing experience. Being able to work so closely with them, it was really just myself down there for the most part. So you really do create a strong bond with those animals. And at the same time, you really feel proud watching them learn. I mean, you feel for them when they fail, but you feel so proud when they manage to make a kill and they're starting to succeed in the wild, and seeing how much they change and how much they grow was really the greatest experience I've ever had in my life. It was amazing, and it really confirmed my belief that I'd made the right decision to stay in conservation, just seeing something like that. I don't think that they recognize from sight, but they might recognize the tone of my voice, they might recognize sound. I have been away from there for about nearly 5 months now, so I don't know if they would, but I'm happy just knowing that they're out there, they're still wild, they're still very successful, and that we really gave those boys a chance. They are no longer captive cheetahs, they're completely independent, so it's just up to the reserve and to keep an eye on them, and they always know that I'm up here if they ever need any help.